When you think of this problem, you could actually get it so that you don't have any decimal points, right? And you could multiply everything here by 100. That'd be one option. Did anyone do that? No. Okay. If you don't, our next step is we need all the variables on one side. So since I already have back here this negative 2.52, I'm going to subtract 1.2p from both sides. You need to take out your calculator, please, to subtract 0.78 minus 1.2. That's going to leave me, on this side, I still have the negative 2.52. Kylie, what did you end up with?
I did it where I put the smallest x.
Okay. All right. But we're going to do it this way because this is one step shorter, okay? One step shorter in that I just have to move the variable that's with the number. So, did someone put it in? 0.78 minus 1.2p. Gavin, got it for us? Negative 0.14, no, 42. 0.42. Negative 0.42. So, 0.42.
Oh my god.
Okay. You okay?
Yes, I'm still shocked.
Okay. All right. So, next step. What do I have to do to finish it, Emily? Going to divide by negative 0.42, both sides. And you're done. That's it for number 6. Okay? Put that in your calculator. Number 8. If I want to get rid of my fraction, and I would recommend that on both sides, we should have multiplied by 9 over 1, not 3 over 1. Why 9 over 1? Because then we don't have this fraction anymore, and we're left with equaling 7. On this side, 3 goes into 9 3 times. So on this side, I'm left with 3 times, and Abby, what do I have left inside that parentheses still? 5q minus 11. Now, some of you did it with 3, and it worked. Some of you did it with 9, and some of you didn't. You did it a couple of different ways. This way, if you do this, here's where the most people are making mistakes. It's 15q minus 33 equals 7. A lot of people kept the 11 here. They didn't distribute. They took the 3 times the 5q, they didn't take it times the negative 11. So now you should be adding 33 and dividing by 15 as you look at that one. I'm not sure if number 9 is the question on that one. I guess I can start it, but I'm not looking at finishing that. Because if I'm looking at this, my first step should be to add my like terms. So I should get 1.7w minus 1.32 equals the 0.4w plus 8.04. Now, I myself, when I have all these decimals, seem to make less mistakes if I actually multiply everything by 100 and don't have decimals. I myself would prefer it that way. You don't have to, but I do need to now see your work for how you solved it. If you did multiply by 100, you would have had 170w minus 132 equals 40w plus 804. And now I need to move all the w's on one side and all the numbers, and I should be able to finish that problem. Number 11 is going to be like one that we're, when we look at our notes today, in that we have 3x plus 7, and on the other side of the equal sign, Nick, what should I have when I add my like terms?
The 3x plus 7 equals 3 plus 5, or plus 3x plus 5. 3x
plus 5. And remember, we said always eliminate your variable first, okay? So if I'm going to move the variable, my variable that I want to move move in this question is going to be to move and subtract 3x from both sides. And when I do that, I get 7 equals 5. And that is a false statement. And since it is a false statement, my answer is no solution. Okay? Question. Okay? So the difference of no solution and infinitely are all real numbers is that all real numbers is when it's a true statement. 2 equals 2, 0 equals 0, 5 equals 5, that's a true statement. That means every x you pick is going to work. But this case, nothing that you pick will ever work. There is no solution, okay? All right, I would like you, this is what you're working on in your notes. You have these 2 worksheets. I have up on the board, when is this due? Every other question, you're going to do the work on a sheet of notebook paper, right? In your workbook. But we are going to go to your notes. Okay? So, you're going to see this one with the superstar. And actually on this one through 18, if you wanted to just do, yeah, we're going to do every other one. And on this one, same thing. And notice what I put up here. Do a check for 3 on each page. I don't care which 3. If you want to do it for 1, 3, 5, you want to do it for 11, 13. For 3 of the ones that you do, I need to see a check. We're going to talk about the check right now in your notes. Is this your pencil or yours? Not yours. All right. Okay. So, does that make sense what we're going to do on this? If you did them all, you get the joke. That's a lot of questions to do them all. That's a lot of questions. You got 18 here, and you got another, what, like 17, 18 here. That's a lot of questions. Okay? So, we are going to work in just a minute, but right now, I want you to go to that last part of your notes where they had some problems. And some of you started doing them the other day. I want you to turn and look at the one that starts with 6x plus 3 equals 15. And then the x minus 3 equals 3 minus x. I'm going to be having people come up on the board. These are review. So we're going to do these 2. You see which page that's on? Do those 2. That'd be great. It'd be great practice because if you practice it in your homework, you'll probably practice it on the test. And you'll do it on the test and make sure that it's so easy for me to grade. So do these 2, and I'm looking for people to put these up on the board. So the very last page in your notes, last pages, and where you see the 2 problems that I have written down, right there. Okay? Ready, Lucas?
Yeah.
Which one, the first or the second one? Okay, you got the first one. Kylie, you want to take the second one? Or is that what you're looking at, or if you have a question? Ah. Okay, you keep working. You want to take the second one? Okay. You're going to do the first one.
Okay.
As soon as Lucas is done with it. Yeah. Okay. On that next page, we're going to do both those on the next page. So if you got these done, go back. Don't subtract the numbers first. Move your variable first. I think you made a mistake. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Yes, it would be a great practice to do the check. On the top of the next page, that one you're looking at? It's close, but yes, I'll have you put it up. Do you care if I correct you on something after you put it up? Okay, but yes, you can. So, on that next page, we're going to do those 2 also. One at the top and then the one on the bottom. And doing the checks, oh, it just warms my heart that you're asking that you should do the checks, because it does help you to make sure tomorrow on Wednesday when we take our test and it's 14 questions, 14 different equations, and you get stuck and you're not sure you did it right, that you can do the check. I want you to notice the most common mistake on the one that Lucas is doing is I will have people tell me no solution or infinitely many. Yep, you can edit Kylie. Because they will just say, but it's the same on both sides. But take a look at that. It is not the same on both sides, right? And if he would check it, he would have showed us his check, which he didn't. But if he would have, it would come out to be 0 on both sides, right? Or it'd be, wait, let's see, -6 on both sides?
No, 3 equals.
Oh, I thought it was. I think you made a mistake on one of them.
Oh yeah.
But,
I had the negative.
This is a perfect one for us to check on with what he did, because we can see that, oh, it's so close to right, but if it's on the test, I have to mark it wrong. Because it's not -3, right? It's 3. And so we can see if we go back and see his mistake. Thank you. You can put it right there. So, when Kyla was doing hers, she subtracted 3 on both sides, divided by 6, got x was 2. This is the answer I'm looking for on the quiz. Here's her check. 6 times 2 plus 3, 12 plus 3 is 15, and it checks, and we're so happy. And Lucas did his, and he decided not to check. He was so sad on the test because he didn't check. And he got this answer, and you do the check, and when we write our check, we put in -3 minus 3, and that gives us -6, equals 3 minus a -3, and we get +6, and they're not equal. What? What did I do? I'm sure I did it right. So we follow our steps going back. And did you see it, Lucas?
Yes, I dropped the negative.
You dropped the negative. I appreciate you being a positive person. I love that people are positive. But we got to divide both sides by -2, right? And then it comes out positive. And now when I do my check with a +3, right, instead of a -3, and I go back to that equation and I put in 3 minus 3, I got 0. And over here I had 3 minus 3 and I got 0, and that's the same. And so it checks. Okay? Yes?
Could you say that on -x, which would be -3 plus -3 equals -6?
Yeah, but this was 3 minus. When we've had it's just 3 minus 3. X is 3. It's not -3, it's just 3. Nope. It's not x is 0. No, it would have had -3 equals 3. If x equals 0, -3 does not equal 3. That does not check. You dropped a -2. I appreciate all this positiveness on a Monday. All right. So we are looking at that next page. The 2 questions were 2 times 3x minus 3 plus 5. And Gavin said he's going to come up and do this one for us. And then the second one on that page is with the 7 q's. And I'm not great with q's, so I'm going to go -7. And I'm going to put an x. But if you had q, that's okay. Plus 2 equals 11x minus 8x. So, Gavin, go ahead for us. Okay, if you haven't done those, let's look at those. Do the check, right? Especially on the second one. Yep. Did you do the check? Do the check for me first. Now, some of you I notice are like done with these. And you have your workbook there, and you took out a piece of paper. Yes, I am okay that you start working on your workbook as we're doing these. So add your like terms first. On that second one, let's add our like terms first on the first side. Good, did it check? No, you don't know how to check that? You can use a decimal and use a calculator or, yeah. Oh, I love it. And I like the check. I like how you did the check. You want to come up and put it up there for us? Okay. You want to change color when you go up there?
How do I do that?
You just click on the bottom at the bottom here when Gavin gives you the pen, which color you want.
So,
those ones.
should I do a check for this?
No. Because the check, what happens if you're checking no solution? Everything's going to not work, right? Everything makes it impossible or not true, okay? So, I really liked how Emily did her check. She showed me, she plugged it in, that fraction as a decimal. That's great when you're doing your check, right? Because if you have your calculator and you're plugging it in, some of you do great with putting in the fraction, but some of you, it works better for you doing that decimal, okay? Now, I will tell you that tomorrow on your test, there are 14 questions, okay? 14 on Wednesday, on your test Wednesday. When you take that test, the 14 questions, you will get fractions and decimals, and you'll get no solution, and you'll get all real number solutions. And you will just want to make sure that you're doing it right. So when I look, Emily, do you want to move it down a little? Should we go down? Here, let me help you. Let's see. So now you can do your check. There you go. Okay? So when she did her check for her work that she was showing, on the top of the next page, I want you to do that first one, and then the first one on the top of the, and then the 4W, let's do that one. And then with the -2 with the parenthesis, let's do that one. And then I think I'm just going to let you go to your homework. We're going to talk about one more. Take -7 times 1 divided by 5. Plus 2, right? Okay. So, when you're putting this in your calculator, I was doing this one earlier for my check, and when I put this one in with this -7x, I got my answer to be this 1/4, and the first time I put it in, I put this in my calculator. 7 times 1/5 plus 2. Is there any way I'm going to get the right answer here? It was -7, right? Emily wrote it right. She took -7 times 1/5. That comes out to equal 0.6. The first time I was doing this and I was looking at it, I got my check and I got something like 3.4, and on this side I got 0.6. Well, I used the wrong equation, right? Is that going to matter in your check? Yeah. So I know it's like you're in the test situation, it's kind of like pressure, and you're feeling it, and you kind of make these little mistakes. Just go back and recheck things, because by putting this in, I should have got 0.6. And know that when you put this in your calculator, you could have put it in as 0.2, right? -7 times 0.2 plus 2 equals 11 times 0.2 minus 8 times. You don't have to put 1/5 in. And if you're using the 1/5 on your calculator, you shouldn't be using that ABC fraction button. Don't use that. You can just put 1 divided by 5. That is what this means. This means 1 divided by 5. That ABC fraction button just kind of messes with your life sometimes. Yes?
On the test, will we get graded if we check?
No. That'll be an option up to you, which I will always have students make that not best choice. And then when they get it wrong, they can't believe that they got as many points taken off as they did, but their work kind of didn't mesh and they didn't do the check. So the one I want you to take a look at are those, which one were we looking at? The 4W, let's look at that one. 4W plus 9 in your notes equals -8W minus 13. And then on the top of the next page, This one I have people make, just some really silly mistakes on. -2 times -w plus 11 equals -13 plus 2w minus 9. So those two. You want to do that one for me? Well, this one. And then tell me, why did you divide by w? Oh, do that. Which one? This one? Did you do the check? You know how to? Let's write it out at least. And I would keep it as an improper fraction. Simplify it. You did? You don't? Wait. I thought, you're doing that one? I thought you were doing this one.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing that one.
Okay. We'll let you start that out for someone else. Yeah, you got some work for me? Yay! And that one. Okay, so making sure your name's on the top, staple it, and we're going to be turning stuff in just a minute, and you can turn it in then. Yeah. I think it's because you did you put in 22 over 12, or did you estimate it to this? Because I don't think it really is that. And yes. But when you put that in here, put 4 times -22 over 12. Or we could simplify that, right, to be 11 over 6. 22 over 12, right? All right. So let's all look at the first one. Haley, you want to put that one up without the check, just as you're looking at that one. And so as we finish that one off, so show the work of how you got to put the 8W on that side too, right? About there. You didn't finish that. You just.
Oh, yeah.
You started it for me.
It's right, so.
People. You can take your work with you. That probably would be a really good thing to do. So that you're just following that. Okay? And here's the deal. That first one, where the most common mistake is, people will sometimes put 22 instead of -22 on the first side. And then if you like getting rid of your numbers first. What's that?
How do you erase?
You're just going to push on that forward button. Yep. So earlier I was looking at Nick's paper, and he likes moving his numbers first, like on the second one, and with like an added 22. And then people make mistakes with getting the real numbers, or getting infinitely, or getting no solution, because they get that -22, and they don't like when they take away 22 and 22, and then they get 2w equals 2w. They don't want to put all real numbers. They want to put w equals 0, which is not the case. It's not w equals 0. It's all real numbers. Everything. 0 works, 5 works, 7 works. Okay? So, this is what I've noticed as I'm looking at a couple of people's papers. They are not simplifying this. Okay? Nope. I'm going to have you sit down. So, when I go to check this, so Gavin, did it work when you used a fraction? So, Gavin put this in his calculator, and he said, this is -2 point what? 1.83 repeating. Don't put that in for your check. Put in a -11 divided by 6 plus 9. And when you did that, Gavin, what did we end up on this side? 1.6 repeating. And now you go to -8 times -11 over 6 minus 13. Now what happens, negative times a negative, right, is positive. and you get the same answer if you put it in your calculator right. So that checking it on your calculator, it's a really good thing, okay? Now, I know there's a few more in here, and then there's some of the y equals. We've been practicing those a lot with your 15 and those other ones. That fraction one, does anyone want me to take a look at the fraction one, or are you kind of okay on that? I think most of you have been doing a really good job with those. I will tell you that my room in the mornings is very busy right now. Why is it very busy? Because the 8th graders, well, today they had a quiz. My 8th grade algebra students, which I have 2 classes of, they are getting ready for their final. They had a big test on statistics today, and then they have their final on Wednesday and Thursday. So next year, if you're in Algebra 1, you will have a final that's because it's a credit class, okay? This year, you just have regular tests throughout. Next year, any math credit class has final. So what is on our test? So on the test, if you're looking at that very last page in your notes, our test has 14 questions. And each one of them is worth 4 points, which means my test is how many points? 56 points. I put it in, right, out of 100%. It's your last big grade Wednesday, okay? There are the 2 standards from Unit D that are on this poster. I can solve multi-step equations using literal equations, and I can determine the number of solutions. When you determine the number of solutions, so there are 14 questions where you're going to solve, I need to know if it's all real numbers, right, for a solution. I need to know if there's one solution, like x equals 2, x equals 0, y equals 4.136, right? I get a solution, or if there is no solution. You need to show all the work just like you've been doing in your homework. So the no solution problems, that's when you have 2 equals 0. The all real numbers is when 2 equals 2, okay? So, checking things over, going back. Right now, I'm going to show you on the daily planner. So when you take a look at the daily planner, you see these different, I attach these good practice. Some are 2-player games where you have to write down the class or write down the question. You can do it with a partner. You can do it on your own. Looking at these, I'm going to have you start that worksheet because a lot of you don't have your devices, but this is something if you are in advisory. I don't know when you guys have your all-day advisory. Is that tomorrow? Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, you're in your advisory and you're working with someone, and you click on one of these, so this chill math, which I think is chilly. It hits, because it is cold out, right? Chilly. So, I'm looking at this, and it says I'm going to test your knowledge, okay? So there's 10 questions. So, some of them are harder, but this is one that we've done, right? So, what would you do first? You'd multiply by 2 on both sides, and then you'd add y. So, if we were doing that, which one of these answers? So, you click on your answer. Which one should I be looking at? The one with 2w or 2 y's? 2w. So, it's going to be one of these 2. And it should be this one, right? So then I hit submit. You're correct. And so they're just a ton of practice ones, right? So I just want you to know, like this one is a game. And you pick 2 players and you're shooting like baskets. You can play the one-player game and just put, or this one is not the basketball. I have a couple different ones. So this one is like you're doing, 2-step equation. Okay, here's my answer. And then you submit it and you get the point. So a little bit of Jeopardy, right? So there is a bunch of different games. This one, so take a look at these this is the hoop shoot one, okay? So you're going to shoot, you put in your and you can pick your skill level, and now you can play. And so it says, oh, so obviously this is the rookie level if we are looking at this. Solve the equation for A. It's another literal equation, right? So you can pick the different ones, but don't do this till you're done with 17, right? Because that's what's assigned. Some of you, it might be 15, 16. Use that